Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start with the invocation led by Councilmember McKenzie, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Fugit. Please rise as you're able.
Today we come and thankful for the opportunity to serve our city and our communities. We pray protection for those police and firefighters who pledge an oath to protect and serve us. Please bless those who are homeless, who are hungry, and who feel hopeless. We pray for peace across this world and peace and reconciliation in our city and our communities. Amen.
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would you please call roll?
Councilwoman Fugit?
Here.
Councilwoman Helsley? Councilwoman McKenzie?
Here.
Councilwoman Parker? Councilwoman Ryder? Councilman Roberto?
Here.
Councilwoman Singh? Vice Mayor Smith?
Here.
Councilman Thomas?
Okay, all present? All right, is there a motion on the minutes from the last meeting?
Second.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any items from tonight's agenda to be withdrawn? Are there any items to be postponed? Councilmember McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. At the request of the applicant, I'd like to postpone item 13J to our October 28th meeting, please.
Okay, the motion has been made to postpone item 13J to October 28th. Is there a second? Second. Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Singh.
Thank you. I would like to postpone till the next meeting, 13N.
13N as in Nancy,
Yes.
to the 28th. Okay, the motion's been made to postpone item 13N
Second.
to October 28th. It's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Roberto.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to postpone item 13Q for 2 weeks. This is the item involving the removal of the previously planned designation. The parties have been working together, and I want to thank planning staff as well as law for verifying, but the parties want to proceed with reviewing this through the planned residential process. So we're going to postpone so they can get all this together, and then hopefully we'll be able to move forward through that process.
Okay, the motion's been made to postpone for 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, item 13Q. Is there a second? Second. A motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other items to be postponed? Okay. Any items requested to be added by motion? Okay. Are there any memorials? Okay. Is there, forgive me, we have some new rules that are being enacted for the first time this meeting. So the consent is one big thing, or do we separately do resolutions and ordinances?
You can do just
One. Okay, one. Okay, is there a motion on the consent agenda as you see set forth before you? As you see on the agenda.
But with the items removed that have been postponed.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a motion on the consent to approve it as has been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Parker, did you have a question? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda is passed. Okay, time now for my mayor's report. First thing is I want to remind everybody that this is our first meeting with the new procedural rules that you've adopted. So thank you for your forbearance. I will work hard to implement them as you have directed. So please remind me if I forget. The main thing is 3 minutes, which Ms. Hopper is going for public forum, and then the differences on consent. So thank you for, if I forget, please feel free to step in, Ms. Hopper or council members, but I'll do my best. Second, Ms. Councilmember Thomas and I had the pleasure this morning of doing a ribbon cutting for Grosvenor Square. This was an amazing achievement that's been many years in the making. It's a very difficult property, and thanks to partnerships with Legacy Parks, the Norwood Neighborhood Association, Dominion Group, which has been amazing. There are now 184 affordable apartments in our city. And there's some of them are 1 bedroom, the most are 2 or 3 bedrooms, so there's a lot of variety of family sizes, household sizes, and it was just such a pleasure to see them. There are many on the ground floor are ADA accessible, and then there's 30 acres that Dominion has donated to Legacy Parks, then the Legacy Parks has donated to the city that will be natural space for not just the Grosvenor Square neighbors, but for the whole community. So just want to thank council. The city put in $1.7 million to make that project feasible, and now there's going to be 184 new homes, affordable homes for our community members. And I got to meet one of the residents. It's been open, and so residents have already started moving in, and a woman named Priscilla had formerly been homeless, and now she has a home, and she's a home health aide, and she's just happy to be safe and sound and working, and she feels very welcome in the Norwood community. So this is a really happy occasion. Tomorrow we'll have another celebration. Everyone's invited out to Augusta Quarry as we look back at the first season at this newly renovated outdoor space. In the heat of the summer, if you hadn't been out there, you should try it out next year. Hundreds of people were there enjoying free place to swim with amazing amenities like floating docks, but also bathrooms, changing areas, and free flotation devices, and other fun things to rent and concessions. So the end of season celebration will be at 3 o'clock, and we'll bring together several of the partners who helped make this project possible. Quick reminder about our rules of decorum. We are here to do the city's official business. Those who wish to speak either to a specific agenda item or during public forum need to sign up with the city recorder before 4 p.m. Do not use profanity, and when speaking to specific agenda items, you must stay on topic. Remarks must be germane to the question ahead of the assembly. That is, statements must have bearing on whether the pending motion should be adopted. Those who fail to adhere to these rules will be ruled out of order. For those who are listening, please note, if you disrupt a public meeting, you will be asked to leave or escorted out. Thank you in advance for respecting these rules. And that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any reports of committees or council members serving on committees or boards? Council Member Fugit.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let my colleagues know that the task force that we had established to do the city rules, we've finished that, and then today we've finished the work that will come before you in the form of an ordinance shortly to establish a charter review process that council asks us to work on. So we have put ourselves out of business yes, for 6 months, meeting starting at 3:30. We're done with that. So there will be rules that we did not get to that will be given to the new Standing Rules Committee when it is established after this election with new incoming council people. And then, like I said, the charter part is over, assuming you pass the ordinance. Then that will put that in place to begin. And so we'll get that working. I'm telling Mr. Frost that now we're finished, and so we'll start working on that to bring it before you and get all that work established so that we can start the beginning of next year with these things taken care of, which I know council has talked about for a long time, and so I'm glad we were able to complete that work. So that's my final report as chair of such task force.
Thank you, Councilmember Fugit. I know that's been a lot of work, and
It's been fun.
okay, thank you. Councilmember Ryder.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a reminder that Audit Committee will meet tomorrow, Wednesday, October 14th at 3 p.m. in room 461 here of the City County Building. To get ahead of the curve, the next Audit Committee meeting is December 18th at 3 p.m. as well. Thank you.
Okay. By the way, this is a little bit new, that we have council member reports from committees and then a separate one for announcements. So we're still on the committee reports now. Any other committee updates? Okay, now moving on to general council member announcements. Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to wish Councilwoman McKenzie an early birthday. We celebrate you. And as a point of personal privilege, I would like to wish Jamie Smith happy anniversary.
And I believe it was Councilmember Helsley's birthday yesterday, so happy belated birthday to you. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes, just to underline a few points that the mayor said, we, both of us were at the ribbon cutting this morning in Norwood, and we're really happy with the way everything turned out up there. And I specifically wanted to give credit to people who worked with Dominion, Jordana Nelson, and Craig Cobb. They were some of the easiest developers and smartest and most outreaching to the community that I've had the pleasure to work with. And this was a complicated transaction, and we were able to ease through it, and everybody was at the table. Legacy Parks also helped us a lot with the land transfer, and so it's one of those win-win situations that we strive for. We've got 184 units that are manageable within the neighborhood, and we don't think we'll have a negative impact on the neighborhood. They're well built. Most of them will be, I think, affordable housing or relatively affordable. And then with that, Dominion donated 30 acres of park space to the community. So it'll be kind of a combination of different needs that were well coordinated, and the neighborhood association, or the group, as I should say, has been really supportive. And then I also wanted to thank council for a previous vote, because there was a previous developer that came in on a plan on this very property that didn't meet these qualifications, and the impact on the neighborhood would not have been good. The amenities wouldn't have been good. I don't think the project would have been as well. And this council wisely denied the zoning request of that previous developer. And we had a little bit of patience, and then the right developer came in, and we've got almost the perfect package, I think. So I wanted to thank council for having a little patience on that piece of property, because in the end, it worked out really well. And then kind of looking toward the future, the same team, somewhat with the coordination of Ben Bentley with Dominion, will be working on the St. Mary's site. And we will have a similar situation there, where we're adding relatively affordable housing, but also trying to coordinate and connect some green space where, we're hoping for another win-win there, where, several needs are met in one package. So this was a good day for us, I think, and that concludes my council report.
Thank you. Councilmember Roberto.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind everybody that there's a city election going on, and early voting actually starts tomorrow. So hopefully you've been studying candidates, and if you haven't, you've got a little bit of time. Early voting is going to be October 15th through the 30th. I do ask everyone to take advantage of those early voting times and locations, but Election Day is on November 4th, so hopefully you all participate in these city elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights on, we'll move on with the agenda. We'll go on to item 10, 10B. Yeah, no. 12D. We're down to 12D. Okay.
12D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Canon and Canon Incorporated in an annual amount not to exceed $55,000 to provide staff augmentation services for the city's Transportation Engineering Division.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with CDM Smith Incorporated to provide professional engineering services for the Gay Street Bridge traffic study in an amount not to exceed $96,100.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a lot of funding going into the Gay Street Bridge, and I get asked a lot about what's for what bucket. And so, Mr. Rosenberg, correct me if I get this wrong, but there's three main funding streams right now for the Gay Street Bridge. One we've already approved for the repairs that are underway that we hope to finish by the end of the year. The second we've approved is the $2 million most recently to assess what a replacement would look like. And I think this is the third bucket that is related to studying traffic flow across the river.
Yeah, sure. So there's funding that's been approved for the stabilization of the bridge. There's a grant, you approved us applying for a grant to study future replacement options. And then this funding will address traffic flow impacts from the closure of the bridge.
Yeah.
So this will address, it's not directly for the bridge, but it's the impact from
It
the
will
bridge being closed.
inform whatever we do down the road.
Inform what we do down the road and other changes we make with traffic patterns to
Right.
route traffic away from Henley.
Understood. Okay.
Relieve traffic on Henley and Chapman Highway.
Okay, thank you for that.
Councilmember Parker?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to use this time as an opportunity to share the feedback that I'm hearing from the community and the experiences that I've had, but I'm hearing more of a need in the community for the city to commit to this long-term plan of replacing the bridge and not abandoning, the idea of this returning to a structure that could support car traffic. Just navigating around, especially with all the investments that we've made on the waterfront and with Kearns there nearby. We have a lot of people from all around town who are now visiting and spending time at Kearns and getting in and out of there and navigating to that space without that additional option of Gay Street Bridge, I know is creating quite the inconvenience for a lot of people. So I just wanted to lift that up and encourage us to keep that in mind and keep searching for ways in our long-term plans that we can return that passageway to one that can accommodate cars.
Thank you. Council members, I apologize. There's two people signed up to speak, and I just, didn't see that until right now. So if you will go to the two people, one in favor, one against. First, we'll speak in favor of the item 12E is Ellen Zaviska. Ms. Zaviska, are you present? If you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Thank you so much. Ellen Zaviska, 3118 Fairview Street. I apologize for my super casual clothes. I brought change to change into when I got here, but you were on the item, so didn't have time to change clothes. I'm here to speak on behalf of Yes Knoxville. Of course, we are a nonprofit that is focused on improving transportation, safety, and choices, as well as housing options. So I wanted to speak to this, again, in favor. We want to obviously support the city looking at the traffic impacts of the Gay Street Bridge being closed to traffic, the impact on Henley and James White Bridge. Just want to offer some ideas on doing that in a way that doesn't bias it too much toward car traffic and not enough in favor of pedestrian and bicycle traffic. I see I have infinite time, which is
No,
great.
the clock on Ms. Hopper's computer is running. I'm not sure why it's not running there. You have a little more than 2 minutes left.
I'll just filibuster all
Okay.
night. Thank you. I do have some expertise in this area with a master's degree in transportation planning and 20 years in the field, so I just want to comment on a couple of things. Number one, I know the good folks at CDM Smith who are going to do this plan are aware that induced demand is a thing, that the idea of providing more space for cars creates more demand for cars and more use of cars because it creates an environment that's more hostile to people using other modes of transportation. So I want to make sure the study accounts for that. I also want to make sure the study accounts for the fact that obviously, well, potentially there's been impacts on the Henley and James White Bridge traffic once Gay Street was closed to cars. There might also be impact on those two facilities when the Gay Street reopens for bicycle and pedestrian traffic in December or January. And so I want to make sure that they're collecting data from both of those time periods, from before it opening to bike ped and after it opening from bike ped, because there might be folks who currently are having to get in their car and drive across the Henley Bridge or the James White Bridge when they would rather walk or bike across the Gay Street Bridge. So just want to make sure that's accounted for. And finally, if you're familiar with traffic studies, you know that they tend to assume that traffic is continually going up. In fact, when I looked through the documents that CDM was asked to respond to, they were asked to account for traffic growth on the corridors as opposed to traffic change. Some of our corridors, traffic is dropping. I know maybe it doesn't feel like that, but you look at the numbers and sometimes they go up and sometimes they go down. So again, just don't want to assume that traffic is continually going up. When we provide more and better options, we can have growth in our city without traffic continually going up because people do have genuine choices. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And you did have 10 seconds to spare. So, Ms. Hopper, if you could try to get that displayed correctly, that would be helpful to everybody. But next person signed up to speak to item 12E in opposition is Mary Ann Garner. Ms. Garner, if you could state your name and address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Yes, thank you. Mary Ann Garner, 925 Cherokee Boulevard. Please consider not approving tonight to fund CDM Smith, Inc., 96,000 plus. Please, I understand, yes, there is a lot of traffic, not only potentially cars again, cyclists and pedestrians. We need to make it available for, and do the study, a comprehensive study, not just what may be acceptable to just some people. I feel like the study is going to recommend millions of dollars spent on just that, and a comprehensive study, in my opinion, and maybe consider the county, the state, federal, if something needs to potentially be done to maybe rebuild. I mean, I just don't know. I think a more comprehensive study, it's been a year and a half since the bridge has been shut down, June 25th, and I just feel like 100,000 at this point is just kind of a stopgap. And it's, I think March is when it's supposed to be finished, the study. So in my opinion, this could be put off until November when some of the new council and the existing council can come and get more information. I just don't feel like it's urgent to be passed tonight. Thank you for your time. I've got a minute and 28 seconds left. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the people who signed up to speak to item 12E. Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this study is to look at traffic flow now, but Mr. Clabo, one of the speakers, had a concern that it wouldn't incorporate reopening of the Gay Street. When will this start and end, and will it consider the Gay Street opening back up to pedestrians and bicycles?
So the study, CM Smith's charged with looking at the pre-bridge closure and post-bridge closure of Gay Street. And so we're really wanting to figure out what's happened to the existing network with the bridge being closed. So we're looking at traffic before and after, looking at all the alternative routes to see how that traffic's diverted. That we will also be looking, it's kind of foundational work for, we brought a request for an application for $1 million for federal funding for a grant to start that's really the start of the process for looking at whatever the future of the bridge is. So this is foundational work for that grant request that we had.
Thank you.
Councilmember McKenzie?
Thank you, Mayor. So just to be clear, the dollars that we're investing in the studies will actually be brought back to council to be able to make an informed decision about the path forward.
Absolutely.
All right, just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
Councilmember Ryder?
Yeah, Mr. Claybo, so I'm going to preface what I'm saying by saying, if you tell me a bridge isn't safe to go over, I'm like, cool, I'm not going over it, because that's one of my biggest phobias, all right? But there are constituents who have questions about how and why it's been determined that the bridge can't be repaired for car traffic when they cite other steel bridges that were. So do you mind, for a refresher, how and what qualified folks decided that we shouldn't have car traffic on here, by the way? And the fact that you hinted at it, I'm cool, I'm not volunteering. But the fact that other people want to volunteer to do it, let's tell them why.
Right, and this is, it's been a process that we've gone through. So with the original bridge inspection from TDOT and Michael Baker, it was determined that there were some deformed members in those arches, the second and fourth arch coming from south to north. Based on that analysis, we hired CDM Smith to do a structural analysis, so those inspection reports were used for that information. As we got into that analysis, you might recall we did a change order with CDM Smith to do a LiDAR scan, so it was a more detailed survey. Mm-hmm. So one of the inspections showed lateral deformation, but this LiDAR scan is kind of a 3D. It showed also there was rotation. So the members were more deformed than we expected. So the analysis, as we got further into it, we were hoping, I think at one point we were even saying maybe we can get emergency vehicles on the bridge or buses. And based on those findings from that LiDAR scan, that was not an option.
So now we're not even doing the buses and emergency vehicles?
We will have a limited number of bikes and peds on the bridge. Okay. And that's in the current repaired, and I'm really calling this a stabilization project. So it's the current stabilized bridge. We will have limited bikes and peds on the bridge. From this point forward, that at least allows us to use the bridge while we're trying to figure out what the future of the bridge is. So this grant that we're talking about, it was $1 million request that we're wanting to apply for with the federal Bridge Investment Program. It's to look at, okay, what are the options moving forward with the bridge? So rehab of the bridge is not off the table.
Okay, so it is still a prospect.
It is. Okay. But I would caution, it's a non-redundant structure. It's 127 years old. So if you go in and start replacing, in order to repair that, you're taking the deck off the bridge, you're disassembling those second and fourth arches to replace that metal. But at the end of the day, whatever you don't replace is 127 years old. It's a non-redundant structure. There's maintenance costs.
Can I pause you right there? Mm-hmm. It's a non-redundant structure. You mean like it doesn't have like pieces that back up other pieces?
And that's why there's such concern with these members being distorted. That's exactly right.
There's nothing to back them up if they give way.
You could have a catastrophic failure. That's correct.
Okay, cool. I don't want to be on it. I believe you. Sorry, I have nightmares about these things. I hate the bridge from Savannah into South Carolina. My whole childhood, we'd go across it. I was always like, oh, no, no, no. Not to say there's anything wrong with that bridge. I just don't like bridges. I mean, I like them getting me places, but anyway, I believe you. So they didn't just eyeball it. This isn't just some opinion. They used like best practices, advanced techniques to like really examine
that's
pieces
correct.
Of the bridge.
They built a digital model and did a structural analysis of that.
Okay, so I just got a lot of questions about how do we really know that this is not ideal? And I like your description. I'm not going to go on my car. Thanks.
Thank you. And for those who don't attend our meetings regularly, Mr. Claybo is our Director of Engineering, in case it wasn't abundantly clear from his answers. Councilmember Thomas.
Yes, in regard to the study that's on the agenda, what kind of time frame are we looking at as far as what data would they be looking at in the past, and then how much far in the future would they need to collect data?
So they will be looking at the previous data before the bridge was closed. They also, there's ways to source data, and I'm not an expert in this, but they are, but from cell phones and other things to where they can see like trip destination or the destination. So they're going to look at some of that to help with how traffic has diverted into the existing network. So what we're really trying to figure out is, okay, with the bridge closed, how has that impacted the existing network? And what can we do? Is there some efficiencies in wayfinding signage or education to help folks better use the existing network as it stands? But I will say that information will also inform our decisions moving forward with the new bridge as we're considering that.
Yeah. Information that would be good to have. I don't know how easy it would be to gather, but as pedestrian and alternative transportation increases on the bridge, then there would be some drop in the amount of traffic that would have used the bridge. And that would be some really good information to know, because, if we just assume that the traffic is going to be the same as it was in the past, but if we have more use by pedestrian use and public transportation and all that, then I don't know how easy that would be to gather, but to find out how much traffic would be reduced by greater access by alternative transportation.
And we should have an opportunity in some traffic volume gathering to look at that. We're still on schedule for the bridge to open in December. So the first of the year, we can look at some traffic studies to look at volumes on other, Henley especially, what's happening with vehicles there.
Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you. I just want to add, thank you all for taking this on. There's a lot of people that live near the bridge now that are feeling the pain that Councilwoman Parker referred to earlier. So it's good for this study to put some data to the pain now, inform the future, and move it beyond just personal preference of what bridges we need and actually use some data. So thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions or discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with CDM Smith Incorporated to provide professional design services at the Fort Sanders Neighborhood Tyson Park Connection Greenway Project in an amount not to exceed $980,770. $980,770.
Motion made to approve and seconded. We have one person signed up to speak in favor of this, Addison Wyrick. Ms. Wyrick, if you could come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Hi, good evening, City Council. My name is Addison Wyrick, and I reside at 2113 Andy Holt Avenue, which some of you may also recognize as the address to Dogwood Hall. I am a student at the University of Tennessee. I'm studying public affairs, and as the mayor said, I'm here today to voice my support in favor of item 12F. So as someone studying public affairs, I've learned that effective civic infrastructure is about more than just concrete and design, but about creating spaces that are safe, accessible, and responsive to the real needs of the public. Many students at the university frequent both Fort Sanders and Tyson Park. Many students reside in the Fort Sanders neighborhood. But students often travel from campus to Tyson Park to access the skate park, tennis courts, pickleball courts, or even just the green space. The park allows us to exercise, work, and take mental health breaks when we need it. However, many students don't have access to a vehicle on campus or cannot easily move their vehicle for things such as day trips to the park. This means that students are walking or riding their bikes almost 100% of the time in this scenario. Right now, the route connecting Fort Sanders to the park is not completely safe and clearly marked, which creates dangerous conditions for students getting from one place to the other. This proposed Greenway connection would provide a safer, more accessible environment for the thousands of students who use this pathway every semester. Students deserve to feel safe getting to places like Tyson Park that support our health, our studies, and our well-being. So, I believe this project represents a crucial investment in pedestrian and bicycle safety for our students. I appreciate the council for considering this project, and I urge you to approve the resolution. Thank you for your time and for supporting crucial safety initiatives in Knoxville.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one question. This is for design. Mr. Claybo, would we have line of sight to funding to build it?
We have, so it's currently programmed in the Transportation Improvement Plan for design and right-of-way, and the construction is included in the 2050 Mobility Plan, which is the long-range plan that feeds the improvement plan. So it's, that we would be seeking federal funds.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yeah, this is a connection that's really been needed for decades, actually, really. And for the people who live in Fort Sanders neighborhood, the park is literally almost a stone's throw away. But it's kind of like the old adage, you can't get there from here. And you have to go all the way up to Cumberland and around, which is really unfortunate. So just this simple connection of connecting these two places would be a great benefit to the people who live in Fort Sanders and be able to utilize a park much more. So I'll completely support this project.
Thank you. Councilmember Parker.
In terms of our greenway developments and design of them, what aspects of safety do we consider in the design? Because this is so close to UT campus and will serve a lot of UT students, one thing it makes me think of are the call boxes that are on campus that students have access to that can alert, someone to help. And of course, I'm referencing something that I used many, many years ago. I'm assuming they're still there. But it seems like a good spot for a greenway. Is that something that's considered in the design?
So I'm not sure about call boxes. I know we are, part of the expense is we're putting a tunnel under the railroad to make this ADA accessible. So that's a pretty big challenge for the project. There will be lighting so that it's well lit at night, but I'm not sure about and I'm not sure how that works with it not being on UT's property. Or.
Well, I'll just add that, we have a great working relationship with the University of Tennessee, including UT Police Department and safety issues, and we'd want to work with them. And also, as Councilmember Thomas alluded, or in the discussion, this is design phase. This is not going to be built anytime soon, but we hope that once we have the design, then we'd be eligible for some grants and other things to get it done. But yes, safety is super important, not just safety of the bikers and walkers as far as like smooth surface, but also just personal safety. I also think this connection has been, we're talking about the users from Fort Sanders, but there's a lot of people in West Knoxville who will use it to bike or walk from neighborhoods in West Knoxville to downtown or to campus. So I think it'll be used by a lot of people once it's there. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12G is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease with the Tennessee Department of Transportation for property located under James White Parkway and Hall of Fame Drive for an annual amount of $149,000 for the first 5 years.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
13I is an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 3, Section 2-614 of the Knoxville City Code to designate the lesser of $10 million or 22% of additional local option sales tax revenue generated from any rate increase approved in the election occurring on or before November 4th, 2025 to the City of Knoxville Affordable Housing Fund.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Council members, we have several people signed up to speak in favor of this and one person signed up to speak in opposition to this. We'll start with those in favor. First is Ann O'Connor. Ms. O'Connor, if you could come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Hi, I'm Ann O'Connor, and I live at 1214 Lakeland Drive, 37919. I'm here tonight as co-president of Justice Knox, a collaboration of 27 diverse faith congregations working together to make sure our city thrives for everyone. Would my Justice Knox colleagues dressed in red just wave? So Justice Knox supports the ordinance guaranteeing long-term funding for Knoxville's Affordable Housing Fund if the sales tax passes. Housing is critical infrastructure. Like roads and utilities, it needs ongoing support and funding. We're proud of our work with Mayor Kincannon, her staff, and Councilwoman Lynn Fugit to create the ordinance establishing the Housing Fund. We're grateful to other council members who supported that effort and have continued voting to expand affordable housing. Together, we helped ensure thousands of affordable homes have been built and maintained. The fund has proven its value, and now we can guarantee its future. Affordable housing projects take years to develop because they require stacking many layers of funding to make homes affordable for people, like nurses, teachers, firefighters, daycare workers, hotel staff, bank tellers, and restaurant workers, the people who keep our city running and welcoming to visitors. Consistent local revenue allows developers to plan effectively and meet our housing needs. It also helps them leverage outside financing. When the city helps fill funding gaps, developers become more competitive for grants, loans, and housing tax credits. On average, developers using our local housing fund have leveraged $15 of outside financing for every one local dollar, bringing major resources into our community. This investment benefits our entire city. Stable, quality housing builds strong families and a thriving community. By voting yes, you're setting Knoxville on a course for a strong, secure future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up to speak in favor of this item is Dr. Bonnie Graham. Dr. Graham, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bonnie Graham, and I live at 618 Rockingham Drive, Knoxville 37909, District 2. I'm here tonight as the Vice President of Justice Knox and in support of the funding amendment. I'm a retired family nurse practitioner, and in my retirement, I've been working as a part-time public school nurse. Quality, stable, affordable housing is the foundation for our healthy community. When people live in good, safe housing, they can thrive academically, economically, and socially. For years, we've heard stories in Justice Knox from people across the city with high housing costs. They face terrible choices about what to pay for: rent or needed medications, rent or healthy food for their children, rent or car payments and gas to get to work. I've seen these stories up close in my role as a school nurse. I've watched a child sleep on his desk because the family was living in their car and the child didn't get a good night's sleep. We can't expect our kids to learn and grow to be successful like that. I've had students come into the office with stomach aches, which were really hunger pains. Parents are choosing to pay rent to keep the roof over their heads, but can't buy enough food. We have a long way to go in meeting the housing needs in our community. Thankfully, our housing fund has been focused on the urgent need of affordable rental development, and we are starting to hear stories of hope from people moving into places like First Creek in Austin, Inskip Flats, and the Ammons on Asheville Highway. Still, we know we have more to do, and we know there are more other housing needs. Low-income homeowners are struggling to afford repairs. Young people who can't imagine ever owning a home, or improvement of blighted properties. These are just a few other needs that come to mind. What we deem the most urgent housing need in our city now might very well change over time. The original Housing Fund ordinance was wisely written with flexibility, allowing the city to respond as housing needs change. What will not change is the need for consistent, ongoing funding to meet those needs. Quality, stable housing is the foundation for a healthy community. Thank you for voting in support of this ordinance.
Thank you. The next person signed up to speak in favor of this item is Drew Harper. Mr. Harper, you can come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Hey, my name is Drew Harper. I live at 1205 Kenyon Street. I am the vice president of Yes Knoxville. We support more housing options, transportation options, and better public spaces. We support this question. We support the goals of the economic plan of the upcoming ballot question that aims to raise money that this administration will dedicate toward improved pedestrian infrastructure, bike infrastructure, better parks and sidewalks, and a boost to the Affordable Trust Fund. The measure in front of you will codify the affordable housing piece of that economic plan, ensuring that future administrations cannot back out of investing in the Permanent Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I see all the Justice Knox people here, thank you. And this particular one resonates with me, and the reason I chose to speak about it is because I was at the very first Nehemiah action where we asked then, Justice Knox Nehemiah action, where we asked then, all of the mayoral candidates, including Kincannon, if they would support a permanent trust fund, to which you enthusiastically answered yes. Thank you. And I think we forget that at that time, almost 10 years ago, it was a time when the future direction of Knoxville's leadership was truly an open question. A mayoral administration that did not fund bike infrastructure or sidewalks at all was in recent memory. And the possibility of returning to an austerity-focused government was very real. It was kind of a scary time overall, and I see parallels today. This measure will bolster the good work started those 10 years ago by Justice Knox and others, and it will extend the successes of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I hope that it will assuage the fears of some who worry that future administrations will abandon this good work or even tear it down. My only wish is that we could similarly institute a permanent bike lane trust fund, a permanent greenway trust fund, and perhaps a permanent sidewalk trust fund. For these reasons and for better housing for all, please vote yes. Thanks.
Thank you. Council, we have one person signed up in opposition to item 13I. Mary Ann Garner, if you could come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Mary Ann Garner, 925 Cherokee Boulevard. I didn't know I was supposed to bring a crowd with me. I don't have a problem with affordable housing. Everybody knows we need more affordable housing in Knoxville, all across the state, all across the whole United States. I was on the Housing Commission in Middle Tennessee for years before I moved here. There are parameters and very specific things that these potential renters have to meet. HUD is involved. It's not an easy process. I totally agree with Ms. O'Connor, who lives in my neighborhood, Mrs. Graham, Mr. Harper. I have a problem with stating a resolution tonight for the 22% if the sales tax passes, and that's a big if. And if it does pass, a percentage or on everything that has been thought out can be directed and approved by the new and existing council people. That's my issue with this ordinance that's going to be discussed tonight. I have no problem with affordable housing. I have spent many, many, many meetings on these issues in Middle Tennessee, and I would love to be involved here. I didn't realize that 22% was going to be discussed until last night on the news, and I talked to Councilman Roberto this morning about this situation, and I don't have a problem with spending money on a study for the bridge. It's just don't spend bad money, good money after bad money. That's the whole thing. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. That concludes people signed up to speak on this. Next is council's discussion. Councilmember Fugit.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that some people won't want to hear this, but do understand that councils make ordinances and other councils can make new ordinances. So what we are committing to, if we pass this now, it will be the ordinance in effect until somebody changes them. Nothing is forever. Policies change, people change, things can go on, but it is the intent with this to say that as long as people are around, we have a dedicated funding stream. I just think we've got to get serious about the fact that people can change ordinances. We do it. But I'm supporting this because I helped create this fund. I have been a finance professional since, well, not lately, but I spent 30 years in the financial industry. There was a need for affordable housing in the early 80s. There will be a need for affordable housing in 2080. There is always someone that needs access to entry into the American dream of maybe one day owning a home. First, it starts with perhaps a affordable rental, but then the thing I like best about the fund that we created is the fact that there is a group of citizens that help consult on what are the rising new needs for housing. Lately, it's been multifamily. One day it may be to help build single-family homes or duplexes. The flexibility that this vehicle allows and the expertise outside of just city staff to help structure how the money is spent is what I think has made this so successful and why I think citizens could feel comfortable. No, the sales tax may not pass, but this would be a missed opportunity to not go ahead and codify a funding stream because affordable housing never goes away. The hope is it's different people that need the affordable housing every time. So somebody has moved up and out. So that's why I would encourage my colleagues to support this. We could debate all, is this the right percentage, is this not? But I think we should go ahead and move forward with this because it's working so far. As I talked to my Justice Knox friends the other day, we started this a long time ago, very widely apart. We created something that was a compromise to show the citizens and the city that this could work. We've done that. We've generated more private investment, more units. There are creative solutions. Government cannot do it all, but it needs to be sometimes the last in money that makes the whole thing financeable worthy by the private sector. So I think the proof has been in the pudding, and I would urge my colleagues to let's take advantage of this so if the sales tax passes, there's additional dedicated funding because the need is not lessening.
Thank you. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. I have probably more comments than I have time to make, but if conversation continues, perhaps it'll come back around to me. First, let me start off by saying I think it's a good step for the city to put in an ordinance the commitments that it's making to the community. So I do think that that is a good step to make. But I don't think it's the only step, and that's my concern with the ordinance tonight. When I heard that there was an amendment to the Affordable Housing Fund ordinance coming before council, I was a little excited because it opens up an opportunity for us to discuss where we need to head next. Where has the funding been focused, and where should it shift moving forward? One area is permanent supportive housing. I think our investments into permanent supportive housing have been tremendously important, and we've set goals, we've identified the need, and we need to continue with that funding. But that section of our ordinance that requires a certain level of investment in permanent supportive housing expires this year. So I was disappointed not to see that requirement renewed under this ordinance. Also, this is our opportunity, if we're talking about bringing in additional millions, $47 million per year into the city of Knoxville. This is our opportunity to talk about the full spectrum of housing and how do we actually move folks from the street into housing? How do we, prevent folks from going into homelessness in the first place? Our ordinance and our spending under this ordinance so far has been focused on permanent housing. We have a tremendous need for transitional housing. We have a tremendous need for rapid rehousing services, and we have a tremendous need for shelter. And shelter is the one area where we really just haven't grown our city investment. We get, about $140,000 per year in federal funds for homelessness, and the city matches that. And that's what goes towards our homeless services in the city of Knoxville. We may decide to make additional grants outside of that, but it's not within this ordinance. It's not a requirement. It's not an obligation that we invest in emergency shelter. I'm also worried about the targets that are in the ordinance, because the ordinance allows for this funding to go towards developments that are up to 120% area median income. I don't know that exact number. When I did a Google search, it showed me that a two-person household with an income of $90,000 is 120% area median income for Knox County. So what this creates is when we have a ribbon cutting like the one today, and the community hears about a new affordable housing project, but then they hear about what the rent is. Then they come to city council and they say, how is this affordable housing? How is a two-bedroom at $2,300 a month affordable housing? And I can't answer them. So what I would like is to be put in a position as a council member where I can say, these are the developments that we have, for certain income levels, and this is what we have in the pipeline. I realize the development today isn't a fit for you, but it is a priority, and these developments are coming. But I can't say that. And we should be able to. We should be able to understand the impacts of our policy. We can't just celebrate that new developments have come about. We have to make an assessment of who is being served and what additional investments and where do those investments need to be made so that we are serving those in the most need in our city. My time's up.
Thank you, Councilmember Parker. Just a point of information, the Affordable Housing Fund that was passed by ordinance was for 10 years, and so that will go through 2030. If this ordinance passes tonight and on second reading, that would go from a minimum of 5 million, it would add an additional 10 million, so tripling our investment. And I do think that we have things to celebrate. We've, thanks to council's support and the city taxpayers, developed almost 3,000 new affordable homes since 2019. And when you compare that to other communities in our state or across the country, that's pretty impressive. And again, that every dollar that the city puts in is matched by at least $15 from other people, including major investments in permanent supportive housing, Caswell Manor, Liberty Place, First Creek at Austin, Callahan Flats is going to be opening later this month. And the good news is also, and Director DuBose, I'd ask you to elaborate on this, but the Affordable Housing Fund that this ordinance is set to update and amend is flexible. It can be used for a lot of things. So if you could share with council what the flexible uses are and have been.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Kevin DuBose. I'm Director of Housing and Neighborhood Development for the City of Knoxville. The Affordable Housing Fund was very well crafted, and I, as a director who was not here at the time coming in, I really appreciate the work that was done there. Let me assure everyone that we have spent $0 of the Affordable Housing Fund for any project benefiting anyone over 80% of the median. That just hasn't happened. I think what is allowable under the ordinance is if you bring in private money, you can go up to 120. I also want to add that the great majority of the money has benefited projects below 60%. And you know, what we've tried to do with that, with these projects is increase the number of vouchers in the community. So it's almost inconsequential what the stated rent is on the docket. What is happening is many people are paying 30% of their income, and with those 24 different projects that you all have helped fund, we produce a lot of units in a critical amount of time. Now, this is the season. We were in a season of just response to a housing crisis where too many people were paying too much for rent. As we progress, our strategy can really shift. We are looking at some different type of projects bringing to council here in the next few months, including a home ownership project. But I really do appreciate the flexibility that the fund gives us.
And that report from the fund is available on the city website, correct? Yeah, thanks. Councilmember Parker.
And I have read through that report, and I have mapped out all of the units produced, and I've tied them to the resolution passed by council, tying it to funding so that I could actually identify all of these projects. And, you know, we have, you know, produced a lot of new units. And honestly, outside of this ordinance, we have used other strategies that I would like a better reporting on, if it were possible, of the units of affordable housing and the affordability periods for those that we've produced through a pilot that was granted, but the Affordable Housing Fund wasn't tapped into. I've only identified those out of the Affordable Housing Fund. How much money have we put into the down payment assistance program? How much housing has that produced? You know, I think there's more that we could show, but the numbers, you know, for the numbers I count are 2945 affordable housing units, 2,945. If you go back to 2012 and include all of 5 Points, all of the 5 Points development will get us to close to 3,000. But that's a much larger period of time to get to that number than what we've been discussing. My other issue with this, and I still haven't gotten a good answer on it, is what we are proposing to the community is new spending. We are proposing, new projects, both in terms of affordable housing and the other categories, to fund with the new revenue produced. And without having this conversation within the context of developing a budget, it is difficult to know whether we are making sound decisions about how to use this new revenue. Because one thing that I'm still concerned about is the slide we were shown at a budget retreat that showed the payroll expenses outpacing the performance of the property tax. So I'm still needing an answer to if the sales tax increase passes and we as a city dedicate this $47 million to new spending, how do we address the shortfall, very significant shortfall in personnel expenses that is projected to happen, within the 2027 budget? So we'll be here, it's coming up, we'll be setting that budget, and we'll have a potential shortfall in revenue based on projections of the performance of the property tax versus payroll. And I brought this up several times, multiple times, in multiple meetings, at the budget retreat. But we have no answer. Is there an answer?
Councilmember Parker, Mr. Evans has answered and will answer again. If you could, Mr. Evans, CFO.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to give you the same answer I've given you before. You've showed that slide a couple times. What I'm about to tell you right now is the same thing I've said before. Nothing's changed. The fact is, that chart was shown in a budget retreat back when CFO Janot was here, and it showed the intersection of how our projected revenues and expenditures would intersect despite the property tax increase, okay? And I said at that time, or actually Susan Janot did at that time, that's based on kind of everything staying the same, states of growth and expenditures and revenues staying the same. Everything changed after that, like I've told you before. COVID subsided. We had a massive surge in sales tax, I mean massive, that we reaped the benefits of. We got ARPA money, well over $40 million. Inflation has slowed. We also right now get about $2.4 to $2.5 million in real growth for property tax about every year. And, nothing is the same as it was at that time. So your stated concerns that those are going to run out in FY 27 or 28 are it's just not accurate.
Well, would you be willing to create a new graph then that can show us the updates rather than, the tone that you're bringing to me today in this meeting?
The tone, I'm just a little frustrated because you've asked it several times.
Well, I would like
I've responded in
an
the same
update that's
manner
not
several
verbal.
times,
Okay.
and I'm getting a little tired of it.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Okay, just a second. The last answer I got was that the sales tax increase was performing well, and that would cover it. In our last budget retreat, the report was that the sales tax has flattened. It's not performing the same.
No, we said that the sales tax is increasing at a slower rate.
I'm pretty sure it said flattened. It's in the budget. But either way, it has slowed down. So it's not at a point where it can cover those expenses. So if you have ideas of how else we're going to cover those payroll expenses, it would be great to get that in a report rather than to be fussed at a city council meeting, because I'm concerned about directing $47 million in revenue to new spending when I haven't been shown a report that shows how those expenses will be covered.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. DeBose, what types of housing can we use some of these, what types of housing can we use the Affordable Housing Development Fund for?
Thank you. Good question. Any housing, it doesn't restrict housing types. What it does is the ordinance makes certain that 65% of all of our funding goes to benefit households at 60% of the area median and below. And the balance, we can do 60 to 80. We have funded very little in that 60 to 80, but we're working on projects now because that's a very important group for, workforce housing. And so we have some.
Workforce housing, mixed income housing,
Yes.
permanent supportive housing,
Yes.
NOAAs, all of those types, as you mentioned.
All of
are
that's
not restricted.
eligible.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. The second question is, this only allocates 22% in perpetuity, so after the 5 years of the sales tax.
Neighborhood investment plan.
Thank you. The other 78% is unrestricted to use for the city's
Yeah,
discretion,
then
yeah?
future mayors and councils can adopt a new neighborhood investment plan, or, just see what the needs are at the time.
Yeah, so in year 6, 78% of that new revenue will be unrestricted.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Roberto, and then Ryder.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to vote for this, and I think the reason is because affordability is really the issue that we're all struggling with today, and I think that's going to continue. Now, I would have liked to have seen this brought up earlier, maybe in the spring, but I'm going to support it because I think it's a good. This is a very good vehicle. It's been used well by the city to produce affordable housing and workforce housing, which I think is really critical. One point that I wanted to bring up, Director DuBose, is that what's been going on is not a concentration of all of the affordable workforce housing in one place, but rather we've been spreading it out around the city. And I know that in West Knoxville, we've got, I think, more than 300 units that I think we've talked about before when we had none back in 2017. So can you talk a little bit about the benefits of spreading out where all the affordable housing is located, maybe not just in one place, but making sure we continue that effort to spread it out around the city?
Yes, I think that's a legacy of the Affordable Housing Fund, and the leadership of this mayor and council is that, the projects have been well dispersed. And the philosophy, just from a practitioner standpoint, is you want to build affordable housing in what is called high opportunity areas where there's lots of jobs, areas where there's a diversity of incomes. And, you don't want to over-concentrate poverty in areas that, don't have the same investment opportunities, So what we've done is kind of, those, 2,600 plus units in just the affordable rental development program. They've been well spread out around town. The mayor mentions 3,000 units. There's other programs that contribute to that number. But in that affordable rental development program, which since 21 has been fueled by the Affordable Housing Fund, it has been almost equal disbursement around the council districts.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryder.
Yeah, Mr. Evans, to kind of clarify a couple of things that were said, I'm looking at the budget, and one of the questions that came up was about revenues keeping up with employee compensation. And I just want to clarify the pie of revenues. How much is ballpark? I mean, I can sit here and pull it up. It'll just take me a few minutes, but I thought maybe you might know. How much of the pie for what the city spends is property tax versus sales tax? What's the,
Okay, again, not having the pie with me
Okay.
here, the property tax is our primary source. I would say that's, I don't know, 52, 55%
Okay.
probably.
I don't need you to be precise.
Yes, ma'am. Sales tax is,
Under 10, over 10?
no,
I have no idea.
it's over 10.
Okay.
It's more like 20%.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay, so in the budget statement, the statement is made is that, hang on a second, I just want to, on the revenue side, hold on a second. That growth in sales tax is keeping up with the compensation needed for employee compensation. Like, basically, what I heard you say a moment ago is you still agree with that.
For the incremental growth in sales tax that has occurred since that chart was created that showed the intersection of the two.
I'm not particularly
And-
going to refer to that chart. That chart's
But- but-
pre-COVID.
No, I
It's
know,
pre-COVID.
but that's kind of the baseline. That was the
Okay.
genesis when that created. And the incremental growth in pay, yes, it definitely covered it. Now, the incremental growth in sales tax, while still growing, is not growing at that rapid, I mean, it was just skyrocketing there for a while. It has slowed down. It's not flat, but particularly the local option, but it's not growing like it was at that immediately following COVID for several years following it.
Gotcha. People were spending a lot instead of traveling. They were buying commodities and items, and the sales tax, and there was inflation, and the sales tax revenues ballooned.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
and
Those were
I would-
conversations we had at budget hearings.
Yeah.
I
That's
recall
correct.
them.
And I would just add that inflation affected our expenditures too. Every council agenda has usually contracts that need adjusting because the costs have gone up. So that's affected our expenditures as well. And most of our sales tax revenue goes directly to the school system, 72 cents percent of every dollar collected.
Okay, so from the budget, the adopted budget, local option sales tax revenue is forecasted to grow at a slower rate of only approximately 0.9% when compared to where we projected ending 24-25 via the mid-year financial rate. So things flattened out and the revenues aren't coming in. What I have seen in my time on council is there was an adjustment to the rate for property tax, and we've kept up and we were able to give needed raises to employees for employee compensation. But what we have dialed back on are things like paving streets, because that's not going as far. The rates to be able to pave the streets have gone up. That correct, Mr. Clabo? Everything costs us a lot more in the engineering world. If you could keep costs down, that would be awesome. But
That's
we're
correct.
paving less streets, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I think in this year's budget, we have no new sidewalks, is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, so we didn't increase the tax rate, we kept up and we gave employee compensation a raise and we've kept up with that. But the local option sales tax is flattening out and we curbed and cut back on things like number of street miles paved, sidewalks, and other things. And those are the things proposed to be covered by the increase in the local option sales tax. Do I have it correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember McKenzie?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Dubose, I want to circle back to you. So on the affordable housing units, and I will say that, yes, we have seen some more intentionality about spreading them out across the city, because at one point, it did feel like there was a huge concentration in 1 to 2 areas. We do know that there are people who have been raised in certain areas in the city who want changes, who want to live in different areas, and so I'm glad these opportunities are presenting themselves. KCDC generally runs a waiting list, and so when these properties become available, do these folks who are on the waiting list with vouchers are they slated in line to apply for these housing properties first?
Yes, and, I'm not sure if Ben's still here. He can speak to it a little bit better than I can. But from what I'm understanding from the property management companies, they work very closely with the staff of KCDC to identify future tenants. And the ones that are, have been on the waiting list, it helps KCDC to get them off of the waiting list as well.
But they have the option, because some people may or may not want to live in certain properties or certain areas. But those who do, but I do appreciate that, hearing that there's diversity in the housing options from the Affordable Housing Fund, even with First Creek at Austin, the intentionality around senior housing, I thought was really good, to make sure that they had housing there as well. And so I will be voting in favor of this ordinance, because I do think that it is sorely needed, and it has been very effective and helpful to this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that the chart was not pre-COVID. COVID hit in 2020. That's when I started here on council. It starts with FY 2023, so I believe it's from the 2022 budget hearing. I unfortunately am not able to support this, and the reason is because of the message that it would send to the community about how I believe this money would be used and how I believe it should be used. When I was running for office starting in 2017, affordable housing was one of my top issues, if not the top issue. And we were pushing for more city investment in affordable housing and homelessness services. And homelessness services is the one thing that we can't seem to get that to catch on. And we need the community to show up and ask for money to be supporting homeless services specifically. But when we started that work, it was when Rohero created the Affordable Rental Development Fund and began investing in affordable housing. And I looked back at it because I remembered it, but before she left office in 2019, she announced in her State of the City address that she was putting $10 million in the budget for affordable housing. And that was without a tax increase, and that was without federal revenue flowing into the city. It was with city tax dollars. And I looked back so that I could find every affordable housing project that was approved, and I could find about 9.1 million. Close enough. I'm sure there was something else that I'm missing, or maybe it was a renovation that was included. I don't know. But the goal for me is still to increase that investment. And it's not, like I said before, it's not just in housing, but it's in that full spectrum. And I still see us not prioritizing funding in that full spectrum. And I do not take it lightly, because I do know this is a political issue. And I do know that it's easier to sell market rate housing, it's easier to sell workforce housing than it is just housing for just straight up poor folks who need somewhere to stay. And so I just feel like there's been too much focus on those income levels. And I hear you when you say, really what we focused on is 60% and below, but I need to see the numbers, because as I look through the projects, most of them say 80% and below is allowed. You know, we had Giffen that came before us, and that was broken out nice, but most of the projects say 80% and below. And I'm still getting complaints from community members that the new housing being developed is stuff that they cannot afford. So it feels as if there's more that we can do. And usually it comes down to a lack of resources. Usually we do as much as we can. But now we're talking about $47 million in new revenue. And when we are having a conversation like that, if we are not having a comprehensive discussion about the total needs, I can't be in support of it. I can't be in support of it. And hopefully, it can help push us, continue to push us towards more investment and more investment at the lower end, more investment in shelter, more investment in temporary housing. I hear you that you read the ordinance as being flexible to allow for all of these investments that I'm bringing up. Well, I'm waiting to see those investments. We haven't invested in temporary housing in 5 years through this fund. So if we haven't done it in 5 years, if we don't intentionally put that language in, how can I believe that it's going to be a priority moving forward? So for those reasons, I'm not able to support it.
Councilmember Ryder.
Yeah, Mr. DeBoe, sorry, did I say that? Yes, I did say that right, sorry. When you say flexibility, how have the projects that have been funded been chosen? Like, is it things under 60% of AMI have been the only things that have applied and come forward? Are you out seeking things that are less? Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So each applicant must go through a pretty rigorous review process with our team, and they make sure, that they're ready. Usually, they're also applying for other financing.
Like LIHTC, what are you talking about?
Low-income housing tax credits, AKA LIHTC. Sometimes project-based vouchers, which runs with the units. Those also resource, so that application process can be very lengthy and most usually about a year's time. And so for the first 3 or 4 years, the projects, we were focused on numbers and meeting the need and solving the crisis. And so the ones that bubbled up, were the ones that met the need the best. Now, we have brought to council this past year 2 projects that were in that 60 to 80% that did not have any LIHTC or any project-based vouchers. It was, with a developer who learned from that affordable housing model and said, I think I can do it based on the zoning incentives. It was middle housing, so he received some bump in benefit due to the increased density, plus what he got from the Affordable Housing Fund allowed him to launch some workforce housing that is going to be built here in the next year.
So what does it take to get a project that's more like 40% of AMI or?
Heavy layering. I mean,
Are there examples of that out there?
Yes, the majority of what we've done has been that, but it requires. Here's the deal: is that housing costs the same whether it's affordable or not.
Sure.
It's
got to be subsidized.
I always say there's not an affordable housing section at Home Depot.
Right.
Drywall's
drywall.
Housing costs are the housing costs, and so what we do is we do gap financing. So a developer, private or nonprofit, will do their best to fund the project, and we'll come behind them with a gap financing as long as it meets the tenets of the Affordable Housing Ordinance.
So do shelter beds qualify? I guess I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember 2 things. One is there's a whole separate fund. The city heavily funds housing stability work. I mean, to the tune of $3 to $4 million every year. That's not included in this fund here, so that's a different conversation. And I will say that my department benefits to the tune about $10 million a year of general funds when you consider the Affordable Housing Fund, you consider what we have for homelessness, and you consider what we do from property acquisition of blighted funds and things like that, that become affordable housing. There's a mixture of funding types that go toward producing our goals. I also want to say that federal funds, there are several different ways where we deal with housing instability. It was brought up earlier, ESG is just one of them. That it's about $140,000, and we match that. That's just one of them, one of the ways we do it. But we use our community development block grants. So that's a whole different, we can study that, conversation separately. Here's the other thing that's important is that what we learned over the past 15 years is that local governments, prior to that, funded shelters only and did not fund permanent supportive housing. And so the move and what we learned, based on evidence, is that local governments should really consider funding housing in addition to shelters, or in some cases, based on your need, housing instead of shelter. Now, I do realize that we're in a situation where we need to increase both here in our community. But we have ways and avenues, but traditionally the Affordable Housing Fund ordinance is not the avenue that we use for shelters, but we support the Office of Housing Stability in their strategy by producing more housing. And they have recently come out with their strategic plan that's going to require us to get to what is called functional zero in the area of veterans. That's going to require more permanent supportive housing. We have promised in our 5-year plan that is before you that we're going to do more permanent supportive housing. So regardless, permanent supportive housing is what we believe will end the situation for many families and make them stable. And so we're really focused on that through the Affordable Housing Fund.
Thank you, Councilmember Ryder. Seeing no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 8-1. Okay. Okay. So, but that was put on the consent.
That's consent.
Okay.
We're on 13K.
The public forum. Okay.
That is 13.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
13.
Thank you.
13K is an ordinance to change the base zoning classification of property located at 6109 Creekhead Drive from AG District to RN1 District. Mohammed Ragab, applicant, 3rd District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve and seconded. And did someone sign up to speak?
No.
Okay. Councilmember Singh? Did you have any comment? No. Okay. Seeing no further comments, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're at public forum. We have 6 people signed up to speak. You'll each have up to 3 minutes. First person is Ms. Vivian Shipe. Ms. Shipe, are you present? If you could come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Vivian Shipe, 37914. I wanted to share with all of you a wonderful phenomenon that is occurring concerning Chihawi Park. For the first time in decades, people are feeling like they have been heard. The decades of feelings of powerlessness, exclusion, and social disenfranchisement have been replaced with hope. There is intergenerational collaboration as seniors are sharing their memories of the old days of the park, and others are sharing ideas of things they want to see. Ideas that have never been used before, and even children are sharing ideas. People are visioning and dreaming. using their voices in ways they never felt they could. And what is so beautiful about it, the conversations are positive and future-focused. It's in that vein of positivity that I use this time at Public Forum to ask that when the advisory committee is developed, that these types of individuals be selected to serve. I would also ask the ideas that are currently being gathered from the community, including those to be gathered in the coming months from the different meetings that are being held around the city, be considered. There is a great desire that the padlocks be removed immediately so that young people and all can use the space equitably as the parks at Lake Shore and Victor Ashe. People want to walk around the park, walk their dogs, push their baby strollers, exercise, sit and read, play music, among other dreams. We ask that ASM management be directed to unlock the gates and that reservations to use the space be accepted as soon as possible. The city parks and recreation do an excellent job in this city. The grounds are immaculate. Let's open the gates, offer recreation challenge grants to the neighborhood organizations so the space can be used now while the major infrastructure designs are being worked out. People want the gates open. They want to reserve and use the space. There are weddings to be planned and reunions to be held. We are of many voices, all wanting the same thing, a place to gather, have fun, and make memories with family and friends. There is much work to do as we work to develop what we have not been able to do for decades. We want to use a public park that's open and usable for everyone. It will take everyone, this council, individuals, old and new organizations working together to ensure the dreams of the people manifest into a park that's on the same level and standard of other city parks. Let's not despair of small beginnings, but let us begin.
Okay, next person signed up to speak is Tiago Philippe. You can come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Good evening, Mayor Kincannon and council members. My name is Tiago Phillip, and I live at Dogwood Hall, or otherwise known as 211 Andy Holt Avenue. When university students consider exploring surrounding areas for recreational activities or service opportunities in Knoxville, East Knoxville is often met with apprehension and caution, which is something that I think should change. Recently, the East Knoxville Reconnection Project, which focused on reestablishing connections between East Side neighborhoods and downtown after the consequences of the urban removal project, was cut after the loss of the $42.7 million federal grant. As a result, the project lacks federal funding to be implemented. My question before council members today is, will the council push for local support to complete the project? And if not, is the council considering alternative approaches to bridge the division between East Side neighborhood and downtown? Thank you for your time, and I appreciate all the work that you have done for Knoxville.
Thank you. Next person signed up to speak at public forum. Just, Mr. Phillip, just so you know, this is we listen and, we can have conversations at the conclusion of the meeting, but we don't usually respond during the public forum. Crystal Flack is the next person signed up to speak. Ms. Flack, are you present? Okay, if you could please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Ma'am, how do I get documents to the council?
You can hand them at the end to the city recorder here.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, council members and Knoxville residents. I am Crystal Flack, and my family has a century of heritage here in Knoxville, Tennessee. My zip code is 37950. Last night, I had addressed the African American Equity Restoration Task Force about their failure to fulfill their mandate. Tonight, I'm here to address you about why you created a structure designed to fail from the beginning. In December 2020, City Council unanimously passed Resolution 367-2020. You officially admitted the city deliberately destroyed Black neighborhoods through urban renewal from 1959 to 1974. You documented demolishing 72 homes, 9 businesses, 2 churches for one project alone. There were 3 of them. You acknowledge these actions disproportionately targeting minority communities and causing devastating consequences. You committed $100 million for restoration. That was your word, restoration. Not opportunities for wealth building, not community programming, restoration. What you actually created this year alone, in February 2025, the task force distributed $150,000 to 10 nonprofits for karate classes, mentoring programs, and transportation services. When I asked last night for the total amount distributed since 2020, no one could provide that figure, not even the staff member responsible for tracking expenditures. That information allegedly exists on the city website, but I couldn't find it, and neither could they produce it at the meeting. What I do know, not $1 went to displaced families, not a single property was returned, not one descendant compensated and restored. But the problem goes deeper than deviation from the mandate. You designed this to fail at the onset. First, Councilwoman Gwen McKenzie sits on both City Council and the task force. She oversees herself. That's a textbook conflict of interest, and you allowed it. Second, the task force composition is wrong. Bank executives, university administrators, corporate DEI professionals. Where are the civil rights attorneys who specialize in property reacquisition? Where are the displaced families or the descendants? What about the grassroots community members who actually suffered the harm? You appointed people with institutional loyalties and corporate careers to protect. Consequently, no economic restoration with the African American community has taken place. Third, the task force has no real power. They don't control the money. They make recommendations that you can ignore. They meet 4 times a year. They can't even maintain a quorum. This is oversight theater, not restoration. Fourth, you told them to work with existing community agencies to develop policy recommendations. That's consulted language for study it forever and do nothing. You should have said, for example,
Thank you,
identify
Ms.
every
Flack.
displaced family.
That concludes your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next person signed up is Mary Ann Garner. Ms. Garner? Is Ms. Garner present? Okay, next person is Eva Weekly Hartley. Sorry. If you could state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Good evening, Council. My name is Eva Noel Weekly Hatley of 2939 Keeper Way, 37803, located on the outskirts of Maryville. And I commute to Knoxville daily, and I wanted to highlight that while projects like Alcoa Highway are led by the Tennessee Department of Transportation, they have a significant impact on Knoxville and the surrounding communities. And as traffic increases with Knoxville's expanding population, it is important that the city of Knoxville continues coordinating closely with TDOT and neighboring cities and counties to ensure that major regional transportation projects are well planned and benefit everyone in the area, especially as traffic continues to increase. And by working collaboratively across jurisdictions, Knoxville can help create a more efficient, safer, and sustainable transportation network that supports both commuters and local residents. And this coordinated planning can ensure that infrastructure projects not only improve traffic flow, but I also want to highlight the long-term growth, such as like environmental impact and the accessibility for all different types of travel. And as the region continues to expand, maintaining this partnership across these different county lines and with TDOT, this approach will be crucial for balancing development with the quality of life of students such as me who are commuters that need to get to school on time but have to worry about these traffic problems. Thank you.
Thank you. The last person signed up to speak at public forum is Tyler Rafferty. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Hello, council. Hello, mayor. My name is Tyler Rafferty. My address is 1905 Caledonia Avenue, 37996, also known as Beacon Hall at the University of Tennessee. Originally, I was going to come up here and ask a question, but obviously, since it's just public comment, I'll say that I appreciate what the council has been doing for this 5-year neighborhood investment plan, as well as the pledge to build 1,000 new affordable housing units. That's a big thing that the city needs. We can all agree that we need affordable housing. I am hoping in the near future that we can see possibly, because there's some issues regarding, say, if we go over the 47 million annually, what is a fallback plan that we could see, to that allocation? There's questions, regarding, would there be a review committee that oversees those, or try to resolve those issues? Would there possibly be cuts in other places? How would that process look like? So I would say to the council to, please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, that concludes public forum, and without objection, this meeting is adjourned.